Samantha, thank you. In Florida, people are scrambling to fill up before the storm hits. The president said the Highway Patrol will escort trucks to make sure gasoline and stations there don't run out of fuel. Lines are already forming outside some of those gas stations. As of Thursday, there were about 200 reports of price gouging already, which officials have vowed to crack down on. We saw someone send a picture to us today of a case of water, $42 at a Dollar General store.